Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be starting yet another reading vlog for you guys, and this one's going to be really fun because this week we are going to be doing a little springy summery type of vlog. So I had my last day of class a couple of days ago, so I'm officially on summer break and I could not be more happy about it. I figured what a better way to kind of kick off my summer break than to do a fun springy summery type reading vlog. So that is the plan. So I do have 4 books that I'm hoping to read this week. Normally I wouldn't pick this many books for my TBR. However, I am currently in the middle of doing a 48-hour readathon with my patrons. It started yesterday. I just didn't really want to vlog yesterday. So I decided I would kind of just pick it up today. I'll vlog the rest of the readathon and then we'll continue to like go on into the week. I'm taking this very chill. I'm not trying to read like as many books as I can in this 48 hours because I just want to have a fun time reading some fun books. I don't want it to be too stressful. So I'm currently in the middle of a book for that, and I do want to read another book today, hopefully. And then the other 2 books are the books that I would like to read in the rest of the week. So that's kind of the situation with this TBR, but with that being said, let me go through these really quickly. So one of these books I am currently in the middle of, and that is In the Labyrinth of Drakes by Marie Brennan. Yes, I'm finally continuing this series after saying I was going to continue it for quite a while, so I'm really happy that I finally picked this up. But I'm currently listening to this on audio because I love the audiobooks for this series. They're narrated by Kate Reading, who also does some of the narrations for the Cosmere books, and just something about that I love so much, and she is a really great audiobook narrator, so I really enjoy these. So I've been listening to this while I've been working on a crochet project, which I will show you in a moment. But I'm currently on page 244, so I'm like maybe 3/4 of the way through this book. I'm definitely planning on finishing this up this morning. I'm really excited because I've definitely been enjoying this book so far. This series as a whole isn't like an absolute favorite series, but just conceptually it's so interesting I need to finish it, obviously, because it's following our main character, Isabella, who is a dragon naturalist, meaning she studies dragons. And obviously that's so cool. I always say if you like Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, you should definitely check this series out. Although I feel like this series has a lot more science behind the topic that it's focused on. Like there is so much thought that has been put in to how like dragons as a species exist, what they eat, their breeding patterns and whatnot. Like it's all just, it feels so real. And that is why I love this series so much, because I can jump into this book and be like, this sounds so sciencey and like it actually happened, and I just love that level of immersion that this series gives me. So I've really been enjoying this one. This one specifically is following Isabella as she is focusing on like dragon breeding and whatnot, and it's been really just a fascinating read so far. I also love this series because it does have a lot of kind of commentary tied into it as well. This one I feel like especially has been focusing on the prejudice against women, kind of just in general back in the time period that this mimics, but especially women in like scientific fields. So I've really liked seeing that in this book. It's just really great. It does a lot. I love this series. So I will be finishing this up this morning because I only have like 120 pages left, so I'm going to finish up my audiobook for it. And I can't wait. And then we can get into the books that I have not started yet. So I do have a book that I'm hoping to start and finish today. I don't know if I'll be able to do that, but also it's not like too long, so I feel like it should be fine. And that is The Witch Would Not by Olivia Atwater. This is definitely a book that normally I would save for like, this book gives me November vibes. For what reason? I don't really know, but it does. However, I needed a book to fulfill one of my readathon prompts, and that was to read a book featuring fairies, and this book features fairies. This is the first book in Olivia Atwater's new Victorian fairy tale series, and obviously that just sounds like something I'm gonna love. I've seen some decent reviews for this so far from the like couple of people that I've seen pick it up, so I've been really intrigued by it. I've had it since it came out, and I've just been wanting to read it. So I think now's the time, and I'm hoping I can read it today. It's only like 300 pages, so I don't think that should be too hard. So that is my goal after I finish In the Labyrinth of Drakes. So those are the 2 books that I'm hoping to finish for my readathon, but I do have 2 other books that I would like to read in the rest of this vlog as well. The first one being something that's very different from what I normally pick up, but that is exactly what I was wanting, and that is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez. The other day I just had this really strong urge to pick up a very summery rom-com type of situation, and I know that this isn't like 100% a rom-com. I know it does go into like some deeper topics, so I am aware of that, but this is a recent release, I believe. I've seen so many people picking this up and absolutely loving it. I've been wanting to read something by Abby Jimenez for quite a while. I know that this is like the 3rd book, technically, I believe, in a companion series. I have not read the other 2, but I don't really mind reading companion series out of order. Like, it doesn't bother me too much, but if I like this one, I definitely will go back and read the first 2, just because I've seen so many good reviews of them. So it kind of just seems like the perfect book to kick off my summer with. I know it's not technically summer, like I know it's not summer until June, but in my like perpetually going to school brain, summer starts after my semester is over, even though it's like early May, so it's fine. But yes, I would really like to read this one as well, and I'm so interested to see what I think of Abby Jimenez's books. And then the last book is another book that I think definitely gives more kind of dark springy vibes almost. And this is a book that I am buddy reading with my friend Mackenzie. She does actually have a YouTube channel that you guys could check out. I'll link it down below if you want to go see. But we are going to be reading Where the Dark Stands Still by Amy Poranek together. This is kind of a tale about a girl that wanders into the woods and she ends up making a deal with a demon, I believe. I've seen a lot of people say that it gives Howl's Moving Castle vibes. I, however, will be the judge of that, your foremost Howl's Moving Castle expert. Obviously, I am joking, but I do think this book is going to make me want to rewatch Howl's Moving Castle, so I'm definitely planning to do that while I'm reading this book, and I think that'll be just really fun. Here is my current TBR for the week. I'm hoping I can finish all of these. Obviously, I now have a lot of free time, so I should be able to. And I just cannot wait to get into all of these. So that is my TBR for the week. As for some things that I'm going to be doing today, my first main priority is to work on my new crochet project, which I obviously want to show you because it's going rather well. I bought my first crochet pattern off of Etsy recently. Also, can I say I'm awful at reading crochet patterns like written out. I don't know what it is, but like I've had to restart so many different panels on this thing so many times, but I think I'm finally in a spot where like it looks normal and like it will fit me. It just took me a while to get here, but it's going to be this like tie front crochet cardigan. I could put it on. I could like partially put it on. But the idea is that it like will tie in the middle here. But it's gonna look like this kind of situation. And I'm currently working on like the other half of the front panel and it's almost done. I have like one more, like a row and a half left, and then I can attach it and I can see like how it's actually gonna fit. And I'm so excited to get to that point. So I'm going to listen to my audiobook this morning for this book while I hopefully finish up the front panel and attach it. And then obviously I'll give you guys a little update on that because I cannot wait to see what it's gonna look like. And then after I do that, I think I do want to do a little bit of journaling this morning because I do want to make a spread for my 24-hour readathon. So I'm gonna do that in a bit. And I would talk to you guys when I finish that, but I think that's everything that I need to share with you in this intro. I'm sorry this intro is so long, but I really hope you guys are excited for this vlog. I certainly am. With all of that being said, let's get into the vlog. I'm going to go do some crocheting. Anyway, so it is now early afternoon. As you will have seen before this, I did do my little journaling spread, and I really like how it turned out. I'm a big fan of how this little readathon spread looks, so I'm quite happy with that. But actually I have a couple of exciting updates here. The first one, I'll talk about my cardigan first, I think. I have good news and bad news with my cardigan. The good news is that it does now fit me well. The bad news is that I had to take off the sleeve. I can't put it back on. I finished this up and I put the other front panel on and I realized it was too tight across my torso, so I needed to get into the side seam so I could like add some extra stitches there, but I had the sleeve on already, so I had to take the sleeve completely off so I could like add more stitches. So very sad times. However, I do now have a vest that fits me. Ta-da! Here's how it looks. It's got like this nice little scallop design on it, and I do need to put a little scallop design like on the bottom of it. But I think this is like generally how I want this to fit. So now I just need to add the sleeves on it, which are gonna take me an eternity. I spent like all day yesterday working on this sleeve. All for naught, but it is fine. However, I think I'm kind of done with crocheting for today. Like, I don't think I'm gonna get back into this project. I'll probably work on it some more tomorrow, but I think I've just had enough of crocheting for the time being. But my other update is quite a bit more exciting because I did finish In the Labyrinth of Drakes, and honestly, I absolutely loved the end of this book. I feel like this might be my favorite one in the series. I don't know if I remember enough about the first two. Yeah, I read the first two back last July, I think. I read the third one kind of recently, but those two, it's been a minute since I've read them. So I don't know if I can like truly pit them against each other in a way that's fair. But the ending of this book had such strong like archaeologist, Indiana Jones type of vibes, and I loved that so much. Because our characters ended up going to this abandoned temple, and there were like things that you would push that would open doors and stairs that lead down to rooms that haven't been seen in like years. There were like skeletons everywhere, and like the vibes of like the last 20% of this book were just absolutely immaculate. And I probably would give the latter half of this book a 5-star. But I also just really enjoyed this book as a whole. I feel like it has really filled in a lot of the gaps that I've had questions about throughout the entire series, because the series is told in a way where it's our main character Isabella kind of recounting things that happened a long time ago. She's much older as she is like telling the story, and that's kind of how the narrative works. So there are things that she alludes to that happen, like a couple of different things that I've just been very intrigued by. And in this book, we definitely got the answers to some of those questions, and I just really enjoyed being able to kind of fit everything together. I feel like this book also did a really good job at kind of developing certain character dynamics. I don't want to say too much about it because I don't like spoil it, but one thing I can say actually is that Isabella's brother is much more present throughout this book, and I just really enjoyed their dynamic together and kind of seeing how they worked together when they were going on an expedition. And it was just, I really liked the characters in this one. I also feel like there was a lot of action in this book as well. Like about as much action as you can expect from this series. I feel like this overall is a very slow moving kind of story, but Isabella has certainly gotten into some predicaments over the course of this series so far, and I feel like this is definitely kind of one of my favorite ones. I just thought it was a little more interesting than the others, and overall I just had a really good time reading this book, and I'm so sad that it took me so long to pick it up, because now, do I want to say that? I don't know if I want to say that. I was gonna say I'll definitely pick up the 5th one soon. I commit to nothing. I need to stop committing to anything really, because I never follow through, but hopefully by the end of the summer I can finish this series. I also just kind of feel like this series is perfect for summer in general. I feel like even though it is very slow moving, I think it's still a very adventurous story. Like throughout the entire course of this series so far, we've seen Isabella as she's gone on many different expeditions to so many different places, and I feel like all of them kind of have a more summery vibe almost. I would really like to see her go to a colder climate. I can't remember if she has gone to a colder climate or not, but I feel like for the most part, it feels very summery. But something else I really like about the fact that this series goes to so many different places is that you get to kind of experience so many different cultures. There's so many different groups of people that Isabella goes and stays with for an extended period of time. And obviously through her interactions with them, you get to see like what their customs are, what their social norms are like. And it's just so interesting. And it baffles me every time because I feel like this series is so well thought out. Like, you can just tell that there's a lot of thought and care put into writing these books because they are so well, like, developed. And it's just crazy, honestly. Like, I've never really read anything like it that develops these ideas to such an extent. It's just a really good series. Again, it's not a favorite series because I don't really connect to Isabella on like a super personal level, and that's really what I need for something to become a favorite series, but everything else I love so much, and I still really enjoy Isabella as a main character, and that all makes this series like a very strong, like 4-star kind of vibe for me, you know? So really enjoyed this one, really hoping I can read the next one soon. We will see. So there's book number 1 done. I think for the afternoon, I would like to get into The Witch Would Not. I'd like to start and finish it maybe today. I've given up on crocheting for the day, so now I have a lot of free time, so hopefully I can finish up this book. I don't know when, but I'll give you an update at some point in time. So it is now a couple of days later. My readathon is officially over. It's been over for like 3 days at this point. I just have not done a good job at keeping up this vlog, apparently. But I do have, honestly, not that much of a reading update for you guys, even though it's been so many days. I have read a decent chunk of The Witch Would Not, which I realize I don't think I've given you an update on at all. So like, we do have that to talk about. But first, I actually do want to go through some book mail that I've recently acquired. 2 of them I've already opened because I am incredibly impatient, but we have 1 to open, so I'll save that one for last. Both of these are classics because I made it my goal in 2024 to read 2 new classics. Last year, I think I said I wanted to read 3. I didn't end up doing that, so I lowered my goal. And it's May, and I have not read a single classic. I don't think. I'm pretty sure I have not. So I decided to pick up 2 new classics, even though I have so many classics on my physical TBR that I haven't read yet, but none of them are really calling to me. I feel like I have a lot of classics that I want to save for fall, but I really wanted a classic that would fit spring. So I decided to pick up another Jane Austen book, and that is Persuasion. I actually have previously tried to read Persuasion, I think back in 2021. There's a video, I think a vlog, where I mention it very briefly and then I just don't talk about it again. And I didn't hold that copy because I didn't really like that copy, but I do really like these Penguin English Library ones, so I decided to pick up Persuasion in this edition. And I feel like late spring, early summer is a really good time to read most Jane Austen books, so I'm hoping to read this one in May. And then the other one that I picked up is a classic that I'm actually planning to read for Summerween, which I'm so excited about because Summerween got announced last week. The prompts are out. You guys already know that I have my TBR like done, sorted for it already. I'm so excited. And I decided that I wanted to pick up kind of a shorter classic for it because the last 2 years that I've participated in Summerween, I've like read a more classic-y type of spooky story. Like in 2022, I read Carmilla, and last year I read some short stories by Edgar Allan Poe. So this year I decided it would be fun to read the book that I believe is kind of touted as the first Gothic novel, and that is The Castle of Otranto by Horace Walpole. For the most part, the only reason that I'm really aware of this book is because of the Infernal Devices, because I think Will brings it up at one point in time, and ever since I've just been interested in it. So I saw that this book was available in the Penguin Black Spine edition on Pango for like $4, so I decided to pick it up, and I'm hoping to read it during Summerween. It's not super long. I think a lot of this book is taken up with like a foreword. Honestly, I have no idea what I'm gonna think of this book. It's just always been something that I wanted to pick up, so I figured Summerween would be kind of a good time to pick up a classic Gothic story. And then the other book that I picked up is in this really fun, shiny bubble mailer. Like, I've never seen one of these silver bubble mailers before. And I'm gonna save this and send one of my own books in it that I sell on Pango eventually, so quite excited about that. But this is a book that I previously, like very briefly, owned in paperback, and I really wanted it in hardcover, but I couldn't find it for less than like $35. I was like, I'm not paying $35 for a book that I haven't read. But then one day, I saw it on Pango for like very cheap, and I was like, okay, I'm returning my paperback and I'm buying this. So, let me just open it. There we go. Ooh. This is a thick book. Oh, the cover is so pretty. I love the cover of this book so much. And this is in really nice condition. I'm very happy about this because I could not find this for a good price in hardcover, but I'm glad that I finally found one. But this is obviously the book that went burned by Mark Lawrence. I've seen a couple of people that I follow pick this up and really, really love it. And it's a book that takes place in like a magical library, as you can tell from the cover. Like, hello, it's stunning. So I've been really intrigued by this one. I think you're kind of following two different points of view, and it takes place in the library. And honestly, that's kind of all I got. But I'm excited about it nonetheless. I've never read anything by Mark Lawrence before. I don't really know if the rest of his work seems like something that I would be into, but this series definitely intrigued me, and I've been meaning to pick up a copy of this book for a really long time. So when I saw that the hardcover was available for such a cheap price, I was like, oh, you are mine. Thank you. So I'm so excited to have this, and I'm hoping I can read this sometime over the summer. Like, I'm tempted to save it for, I don't know, like August, September, like that kind of time, because it takes place in like a magical library. But also I need to hello? Winnie just barged in. Come here. Just making an entrance. Oh, you're so cute. She's like, put me down, woman. So here's the book mail that I have acquired recently. I did get something else in the mail yesterday that has nothing to do with books in the slightest, but I wanted to share it because I'm really excited about it. As you all know, because I've made it abundantly clear in like every single video, I love fall. And I'm always on the lookout for like just fun fall decor items, basically. And Mercari sent me like a $10 coupon because I made an account and I haven't bought anything, and they keep sending me coupons. They're like, you should buy something. Like, what if I gave you this $5 coupon? But this time they were like, what if I gave you this $10 coupon? And I was like, you know what? For a $10 off coupon, I will find something to buy. And I found this, and it is so cute. It's this little acorn basket. It's so adorable. I believe they sold these at Target like last year or a couple of years ago in like their dollar kind of section, their cheap stuff section basically. But it's so cute and I love it so much, and I will be putting this away until fall. I will not just put it out like I do with so many of my Halloween decorations. But I can probably use it to like store Halloween decorations in the off season. Like, I just recently got this little jack-o'-lantern thing from the thrift store. I can like store it in there until it is seasonally appropriate. So yeah, I wanted to share that. And Winnie is now getting a good sniff of that basket. Oh, now stop rubbing against it, you weirdo. But anyway, all of the mail stuff aside, I do have a reading update for you because I have started and made quite a bit of progress in The Witch Would Not. I'm actually up to page 193. I did not end up finishing this for my readathon, but we don't have to talk about that because it's fine. But I think I'm liking this book. There are definitely a lot of things about it that I'm loving, but there are definitely some things about it that I'm not quite as enthused about, so we'll kind of talk about that. But as for what this book is about, is following our main character Winnie, who goes to stay at this old Victorian mansion, which, first of all, we all know how I feel about the creepy Victorian mansions. That's a big win. And she is going there to be the governess for this young boy who is also coming to stay at the mansion for a short period of time. But when she gets there, she realizes that the house is overrun with like seemingly malevolent fairy type beings. So the book is following her as she is aiming to keep the young boy safe from these fairies. Now, one of my main issues with the book so far is that it is kind of slow paced. And like, that's not really my complaint, but I do feel like not a ton has happened so far, and I am almost 200 pages into the book. But my main complaint is that the thing that is in the tagline of this book doesn't happen until almost 200 pages in. So I'm like, at that point, why even put it in the tagline? Like, it seems like a spoiler almost at that point. Like, if it happened within the first 50 pages of the book and that was like the overall plot of the book, I would understand. But the fact that you know that it's coming doesn't really make it seem like a twist. And I just think it's an interesting move to put that in the tagline. Another kind of thing along those lines, and like, why does the back of this book describe it the way it does, is that so far it has described itself as a gothic fantasy romance. When like, we are 200 pages in and I understand like where the romance is going to go, but there are like no actual hints as to like why it is going that way. And I just feel like it suffers a bit from like mismarketing in how the back of this book describes it. But I like the story that it's telling. I just don't understand why there are some things on the back of the book that don't exactly describe the book the way it is, I guess. But like, those are honestly my only two complaints with the book. I just think they're kind of something to note because I'm really enjoying the rest of this book. Like, atmosphere-wise, it is absolutely top tier. It honestly combines two of my favorite concepts, which are like creepy mansions and fae. So I'm a big fan of that. I also feel like Olivia Atwater's writing style lends itself really well to this type of story, because in her other series, the one that Half a Soul is part of, it maintains a very kind of light and whimsical feeling to it. Even though there are some darker points in it, I feel like the book overall doesn't feel very dark. But with this book, because it's set in the Victorian period, it's a bit of a darker fairy tale, and I'm liking the way that Olivia Atwater's writing style kind of plays into that, because just the way that she describes this house and the general feeling of being in this house are so I just love it. Like, it's just so good. And I also just really love Winnie as our main character and the dynamic that she has with the Fae that are in this house, because I feel like sometimes in Fae stories, the main character is just constantly getting outwitted by the Fae, but Winnie is kind of a very even match for a lot of the Fae that are in this house, and kind of seeing the back and forth that she has with like the main fairy that we're dealing with in this story is so interesting, and she's just so competent, and seeing how she handles herself in these situations I just really enjoy. She also has this familiar who is a cat, but it's like not in the traditional sense that you would have a black cat as a familiar, and I'll leave it at that, but I just really like that as well. Those are kind of my current thoughts on The Witch Would Not. I would like to finish this up today, but we'll see, because I do actually want to kind of get into Where the Dark Stands Still as well. So I think I might read a little bit of this morning, and then I'll kind of hop back into The Witch Would Not later. So I'm gonna go do that, and I'll talk to you guys hopefully whenever I finish this book. Hopefully today, but I'll probably see you tomorrow. Alright, so it is quite a bit later now. It is 3:45 in the afternoon, but I'm currently out and about running a couple of errands, and I just had a couple of things that I wanted to update you on, so here we are. The first thing is that I did go to the library and I picked up a couple of holds. I know I show you library books all the time, and I probably only read about half of them actually, so I'm gonna show you these quickly. I actually picked up 2 series continuations that I've been wanting to read for a really long time, so I think the likelihood of me actually reading these is rather high. The first one being Vicious Spirits, there we go, by Kat Cho. This is the book that follows Wicked Fox, and I read Wicked Fox last May, I think, so it's been almost exactly a year, and I had just a really fun time reading that book. And originally I was going to read this book directly after I finished that one, but I just never got around to it. But I've been wanting to pick this up and kind of just finish out the duology, so maybe I will do, hopefully I will do that. And then I picked up a book that I started last year. I was really into this series, but I got to this book. I read like 60 pages of it and I never continued it. But that is The Natural series by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I started Bad Blood, which is the 4th and final book in the series, and I literally just never finished it. For what reason, I don't know. But I'm really hoping to pick this up soon and finish this series out as well. I'm planning on doing a type of reading challenge video in a couple of weeks, and I feel like a book like this would be a really good pick for it because it's a really fast read. And then the thing that I am very excited about, well, I guess I'm excited about all of them, but I also borrowed House Moving Castle because I do want to read this. Just so used to talking about books. I really want to watch this tonight, I'm thinking, because I'm reading Where the Dark Stands Still, and it kind of does have House Moving Castle vibes so far. I have started that book. I'm about 40 pages into it. I'll give you an update on it in a moment. But for whatever reason, I don't own my own DVD of House Moving Castle, which honestly seems like a crime. I need to buy one, but if I bought one like a couple days ago, I wouldn't have it, so I could watch it this week. So I decided to just pick it up from the library, but I do eventually want to get, oh wait, that's so cute, them on like the actual DVD. I do need to get like my own copy of this, so I should look into that soon. But I'm definitely planning on watching this tonight. It's been about 6 months. Actually, no, 8 months? 8 months since I last saw it because I went to see it for my birthday, like last September. So that's why I know how long it's been. I'm not just insane and like know that off the top of my head. So, you know, it's been a while and I just need to do a little rewatch and I cannot wait. So I'm gonna do that for sure. So those are the couple of things that I picked up from the library, but I do also have an update for you guys on Where the Dark Stands Still. As I said earlier, did I say earlier? I don't know if I said earlier. But I am currently 40 pages into this book and I am really enjoying it so far. I don't think it's gonna end up, I feel like I say this about every book that's like a 4-star kind of vibe. It's not going to end up being a favorite book, but I feel like the atmosphere of this book is going to be so good, honestly. Like, I've just been reading so many good atmospheric books recently, and I feel like they're kind of perfect for that late spring, early summer kind of vibe. And I love that so much, and I feel like it does kind of fit the vibe of this vlog, you know? Even though the weather is incredibly gloomy this week. Like, I know at the beginning of this vlog, I was like, I'm gonna do a springy, summery vlog. And the weather was like, actually, no you're not. Nice try. So, what can you do? It is what it is. But as for this book so far, we have been following our main character, Liska, who I believe has this sort of magic. She hasn't really revealed a whole lot about it yet, but it is kind of alluded to that something bad has happened recently with her magic, and bad things have happened in the past as well, due to her, like, not having a good control over her powers. So there is this kind of legend that says if you go into the forest on the night of this certain day and you find this fern flower, I believe, you can, like, make a wish on it. And the beginning of this book follows her as she is going to find this flower so she can wish her powers away, essentially. So we're following her as she goes into the forest. Oh, it started to rain. I can feel little raindrops on my leg. Honestly, it's kind of hot in here, so that feels kind of nice. But we're following her in the very beginning of this book as she is going into the forest to do this, but she ends up kind of running into a couple of obstacles. So you see her kind of deal with that, but then she also sees this white stag in the forest that is seemingly leading her to this flower. So she follows it, she gets to the flower, and it turns out, oh, look at that, the stag is the demon of the wood, and he hears what she wants to do, and he kind of makes a deal with her that if she comes and stays with him for a year and like basically does whatever he tells her to, then he will grant her wish of getting rid of her powers. So we've seen her kind of go to his manor. It is a very like decrepit, overrun manor. There's like trees and mold, and was there mold? I don't know. Fungi? It's like, you get the vibe. If anything, the back of the book should give you the vibe. Something else I want to say about just kind of how this book is written is the fact that this book has chapter titles, and I feel like everybody wants chapter titles to be brought back, myself included, because I feel like that's a really big thing in middle grade kind of stories. Like, I feel like a lot of the books that I read when I was younger definitely had chapter titles, and maybe that's just like a thing of middle grade stories and you're supposed to grow out of it. I'm not growing out of it. I love it. Like, listen to some of these chapter titles. The first one is The Girl Who Entered the Wood. The second one is Trees with Too Many Eyes. Chapter 5 has been my favorite so far. It's called A Broken Sort of Magic. It just makes it feel so much like a fairy tale, and the way the book has been written so far, like the writing style also feels very fairy tale-esque, and I'm just loving it so far. Like, I'm having a good time. I know I'm only 40 pages into it, but like so far I'm enjoying it a lot. So I definitely plan on making probably some more progress in this tonight. I do also want to make some progress in the Which Would Not. Well, actually, I don't know if that's gonna happen because I have a lot of things I want to do today. Because I want to obviously watch House Moving Castle, but before that, I want to do a little bit of baking because I feel like it's been a minute since I've done some baking. So this afternoon, I want to make these maraschino cherry cookies. I will leave a recipe for these cookies down below because they are so good. Like, normally I'm so bad at making cookies just because I feel like they're always too thin and dry. But with the cherries in there's a lot of moisture coming from the cherries, and I feel like it makes the cookies taste so good, especially if it has like some chocolate chips. My favorite to put on top are white chocolate because that is my favorite chocolate, but I do like a little bit of milk chocolate on there as well. It's just delicious, so I would highly recommend, and I do want to make some of those this afternoon. So that's kind of my plan for the rest of the day, is to bake, watch Moving House Castle, there we go, watch House Moving Castle, and read some more of Where the Dark Stands Still. So it sounds like a lovely afternoon, if you ask me, so I'm going to get into it. So it is now Thursday morning, and I do have quite a reading not really quite a reading update for you. I have a reading update for you, and that update is that I have finally finished The Which Would Not, and I kind of liked it. I don't think I ended up enjoying it quite as much as I was hoping to. I think conceptually this book has everything that I could possibly want from it, and I think from the description it is a book that I should like, but I feel like in execution it just didn't really, I guess, deliver in a way that satisfied me. I think my problem with this book is that I went into it thinking it was like a gothic fantasy romance, because that's what it describes itself as. But like, it's not. I feel like the romance that you get, you can kind of see where it's going the whole book, but you don't really get any like significant development in that until like the last 50 pages. So I'm like, I want to be on board with it, like I really do. But there just wasn't enough build up to it for me to actually like buy what was happening. And normally with books that have a more fairy tale-esque feeling to them, I do try to be a little bit more lenient with the insta-love, because I feel like that's kind of a trademark of fairy tales almost, and I can see why authors would choose to do something that's a little more insta-lovey. But I just need like a little hint that there's gonna be a romance, you know? I feel like in this one, had I not read the back of the book, I wouldn't have seen it coming whatsoever. But I feel like there was so much that could have been done that would have made me absolutely love the romance in that part. Like, I don't know, just when we got there, I was like, okay, I guess. Like, I don't know, and it makes me really sad. Because for the most part, I really liked the plot, I really liked the characters. The ambiance, as I said, was absolutely stunning. I have no notes on the ambience and the writing style, that's for sure. But like, in the character, just in general, kind of with the character dynamics that were present, I was like, okay, I don't know, maybe I'm being too picky because I feel like I've had this issue with books a lot recently, where like, character dynamics just feel like they're not built up enough for me to buy how the characters are acting towards each other. And I'm trying to figure out if I need to just like suspend my disbelief more, or am I just reading like books with bad character dynamics? I don't know. Like, am I the problem or are they the problem? That's something I need to figure out for myself. We'll report back on that. Actually, no, I've decided I'm not the problem because there are so many books that I do read where the like friendships and relationships are built up in a way where I'm like, absolutely, that is how they would react to each other in this situation. But like, just some books that I've read, I'm just like, why are we acting this way? I don't know. I feel like this is just an issue that's been plaguing my life recently. It's really serious, as you can tell. Yeah, that was like my main issue with the book, because even Winnie's friendship that she had with the young boy that she is taking care of, I also feel like one second he was like, oh, I don't want a governess, I'm too old for this, get away from me. And then he got taken. And when he came back, he was like, oh my god, I missed you so much. I was like, wait, you did? I don't know. I just don't know. However, that being said, there are certainly things that I did really like about this book. We're not going to talk about the ambiance again because obviously it was stunning. But this book also does deal with topics of like abuse of power and kind of sexual harassment in general. And even though it's dealt with in a very non-explicit way, I feel like the way that Winnie's emotions towards these things that are happening to her are described allows it to come across in a really powerful way without it needing to be explicitly on page, and I really liked how that was done. I feel like all of Olivia Atwater's books that I've read so far, granted that's only been 2, but they all kind of have like deeper topics that they touch on while they're kind of working through the main plot of the book, and I always feel like they're done well, and I think it was done well in this one too. Also, something I really enjoyed was the fact that in this book a lot of fairy tales were being told to like various people in this story, and those fairy tales that were being told were kind of put in their own chapter so you could like read the fairy tale. And I really love it when books do that kind of thing. I just feel like Olivia Atwater knows how to write a fairy tale. Like, that is her thing. And they're always so enjoyable, honestly. Also, the last thing that I want to say is that I had no notion that this book took place in the same world that the Regency fairy tale series takes place. Like, I had no clue. So when little nods to specifically Half a Soul, I don't think anything from 10,000 Stitches was brought up, but like Half a Soul for sure. There were like a couple of things that were brought into the series. I was like, oh my god, I miss them so much. If you don't know, I'm sure a lot of you do, Half a Soul was one of my favorite books of last year, so being able to see kind of some of those elements and some of those characters being brought into this one and seeing how they were kind of connected to Winnie in a way, I really enjoyed that too, just because it was so unexpected, and it was a fun little surprise. So overall, it's not a favorite, but I still really enjoyed my time reading it, and I think I definitely will read the second book whenever it comes out, because this says it's book 1. So I would assume that means there's gonna be a book 2, and I will pick it up. Because her writing style paired with the Victorian time period, beautiful. I loved it. So, second book down for the vlog. I feel like I'm so far into this vlog and I've only finished 2 books, but like, we got a lot of books to finish in the rest of this vlog, so I have not made any more progress in Where the Dark Stands Still. I think I'm gonna put that one on hold, like, for the day, probably, because I really want to get into Dress for the Summer. I feel like I need a break, just like a mini break from reading fantasy right now, just because that is, you know, the genre that I read the most of. So sometimes it is nice to take a little break with a contemporary romance book. So I'm thinking I want to start this morning, hopefully read a decent chunk of it today. I mean, it's a romance book, so I feel like I should be able to kind of fly through it potentially. So I'm gonna start this morning, and I'm quite excited about it. And then I think later I might go to get some flowers or something. The weather has not been on board with my whole springy summery reading vlog concept, but I'm going to force it anyway. And I think I might go get some flowers and, like, you know, put them in my kitchen or something. Oh, also, speaking of kitchen, I did make, as you saw, my maraschino cherry cookies, and they are so good. Like, you gotta get on this recipe. It is delicious, honestly. They're already gone. I made them like 2 days ago. All of them are gone. I don't want to talk about it. And then also, as you saw, I did watch Howl's Moving Castle, and it was I love that movie so much. I feel like I never get tired of watching it, and that's just great. I also picked up my Switch for the first time in a long time, just to do my, you know, bi-monthly walk around in Hollow Knight to remind myself that I suck at that game and I'm not gonna be able to finish it. I'm so bad at it. Oh my god, I'm awful at it. Anyway, I'm gonna go get into Just for the Summer, hopefully make some progress. And then maybe I'll give you a little update on it in a bit. Now Friday morning. I initially was going to give you guys an update on Just for the Summer last night because I have made a lot of progress in this book so far. I really am flying through this book and I'm having a great time. But honestly, that's kind of where the good news stops because the reason I didn't give an update last night was because yesterday somebody hit my car while I was parked on the street and now I can't drive it for like the foreseeable future until it gets fixed, and I was so sad. I think I've moved on in the stages of grief from being sad to being pissed off about it. But thankfully nobody was hurt, so that's good. But like my car, I'm just understandably upset about it, but it's fine. We're moving forward. I'm doing great. But as for my reading update, as I said, I've made it to about the halfway point. I'm on page 202 and I'm loving it, honestly. Like, I'm having such a good time. The love interest in this book is honestly just so cute. so fun. I love him so much, and I really enjoy his dynamic with our main character Emma. And well, maybe I should tell you what the book is about. Let me tell you like what the general setup is. Basically, the book opens up on our main character Emma reading this "Am I the Asshole" post on Reddit, and in that post, the guy that's writing it, who is obviously the love interest of the book, is talking about how he is a good luck charm for the people that he is in a relationship with, because every time he breaks up with a girl, she ends up going on to find like her soulmate or whatever. And Emma's reading this and she's like, oh my god, I have the exact same issue. So she messages him, they start talking, they kind of formulate the plan that, you know, maybe they should date each other. So like their curses could cancel out almost, and like the two of them will go on to find their soulmate after they break up. So they kind of formulate this whole scheme to do that, but the only problem is that Emma is a traveling nurse and she's going to Hawaii for 3 months, like very soon. So at first she's like, oh, well, I can't do that. But then, and like one night she's like, what if I just like did a little jaunt up to, are they in Minnesota? I think it's Minnesota. Just for the summer, you know, as the book title would suggest. So basically the plot of the book is following them as they are going on these kind of fake dates almost, but honestly you can tell that they are incredibly into each other, and they have like told each other that they are like very into each other. So obviously the pseudo fake dating thing essentially just turns into them dating, but they're so cute. Honestly, my favorite thing is that Justin, who is the love interest in the book, he sends her like surveys before and after their dates. Like the before ones are like, what do you want to do? How do you want to dress? Where should we go eat? And then after, he sent her an exit survey. And like, if some guy did this to me, I don't know if I'd be weirded out or not, but I feel like it's more endearing than it is weird. And I would be floored, probably. I also feel like there are just a lot of funny moments in this book. One of the more recent encounters that I read was Justin picking up his mother and her friend from the bar, and they were having this whole conversation about these baby raccoons that they were trying to... Even just thinking about it, I'm laughing because I was cackling during that part. I don't know, like I just found that very entertaining. And I think overall, I really like Abby Jimenez's humor in this book. I feel like sometimes romance books are a bit too corny, but I feel like this one, the humor isn't that for me. I really like it, so that's always good. And I also really enjoy kind of the balance of like the light, cute relationship, the funny moments with like the trauma that our characters have gone through. Both of them have very complex relationships with their mothers, and they're kind of being explored in their own way, but I feel like it's a really good balance. I also love the fact that this is dual POV. I feel like sometimes in books, dual POV where I get the man's perspective, I'm like, no. No, but like, maybe, honestly, I feel like maybe it's just in fantasy romance that I have that issue, because a lot of times in fantasy romance, the men are very like, alpha male, like kind of just irritating, you know, and like appreciating it from afar, I'm like, this is fine, but like I never want to like be in their mind like that. But I feel like in contemporary books you don't really get that kind of type of man that is very common in fantasy romance, and I'm not like I'm fine with that sometimes because it is a fantasy book and I'm like, whatever. But in contemporary books, if a man was like that, I'd be like, absolutely not. No, 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 it's too close to being real. But in this book, I really like the dual POV because Justin is like he's just a good guy. And I love what the dual point of view adds to the story, because I feel like you get to see what he's going through in a very like personal way, and you get the same with Emma. So like being able to develop both of them in that way that's needed, the dual POV works really well for that, and I just really like that. And I just feel like every now and then a contemporary romance really hits the spot, you know what I'm saying? I definitely have a lot of romances that I would like to read over the summer, and I'm so excited for them. Literally yesterday, I'm only halfway through this book, but I have purchased the first 2 books that are in this series. So I'll be getting those soon, and I can hopefully read them in upcoming videos. You will definitely hear my thoughts on them because I'm quite excited for them. I just want to let you guys know that I'm having the best time. I feel like I just love a good contemporary romance every now and then, and it's just so good. So I'm hoping I can probably finish this up today. I mean, I read half of it yesterday in what feels like no time, so I will be definitely reading some more of this today. Also, I did want to show you guys some stickers that I got yesterday because they're so cute. I've ordered from this shop before. I think I showed them in one of my videos, but it's from Color Me Sammy on Etsy. Look at their cute little business cards. They're adorable, but like, there's their shop name. And I ordered some My Neighbor Totoro stickers. They're so cute. I used them for my March reading journal spread, I think. And at the time, that was the only Ghibli movie that they had stickers for. But then I was looking the other day and they released like a lot of Ghibli movie sticker sheets. And you guys already know which movie I got stickers for. And if you don't, I don't know where you've been. But obviously, I got the House Moving Castle ones because they're so cute. I love this drawing style so much. Like, it's so simple, but it's so, I love it so much. And I will be using these stickers for my June reading journal spread, which I'm so excited about. I even made a concept card. I love a good concept card. So here's a little sneak peek for my June reading journal. Yes, there we go. So I think that is everything that I had to tell you. I'm going to go just relax today because I think I deserve that. And I'm gonna hopefully finish up this book. So I will talk to you guys when I have done so. Hopefully done so. Okay, so it is now Saturday morning. Hello. I am ending the vlog right now, so I hope that's okay. I do indeed have an exciting reading update for you before we go though, because yesterday I finished Just for the Summer. And this book was so good. I don't think I've been like back and forth. I don't know if I'm gonna give it a 5-star or not, because over the last like year or so, I've been trying to be very selective with the books that I give 5 stars. And I don't know if this book exactly gave me like a 5-star feeling, you know, but it was still so good. Like, this is absolutely one of my new favorite romance books. I had no clue that I would enjoy this quite as much as I did, but it was just so good. I feel like the second half of this book definitely takes a turn from kind of the overall feeling of this story. I think it started out with this, you know, like a very cute romance going on. I still love them so much. And you can kind of see that there are some things being introduced into the plot that are going to rear their ugly head later in the book. And they did. Like, my heart was breaking for Emma, honestly, towards the end of this book. I was literally crying. Like, literal tears came out of my eyes while I was reading this book, and I do not normally cry at books. Like, maybe I've shed a couple tears for like a couple books, and this is now one of those books. Because the way that Abby Jimenez writes it feels like so real. Like, normally with romance books, they feel like kind of, I don't know, I know they take place in a contemporary setting, but they don't really feel all that real. I still enjoy them. This one just felt so raw, and like the emotions that Emma was going through, I was going through them with her, and it was, oh my god. It's rough. The end of this book is really tough to read at times just because of the things that Emma's going through and the realizations that she is coming to at the end of this book. And even though it was breaking my heart, I still absolutely loved how it was done, and I just loved this book. I had such a good time reading it, even though it feels like the wrong thing to say about it, but like, I did. And also something I really enjoyed is that the third act conflict did not come from within the romance, and that just works so well. I feel like I complain about this a lot, but like the third act conflict, breakup, whatever, that happens in so many romance books that I read is just miscommunication, and I cannot stand that. I just feel like if your third act conflict is going to be some like made up miscommunication nonsense, just don't put in a third act conflict, because what's the point? It gets me heated, honestly. I just hate it so much. But in this book, it was definitely coming from like an external source that made a lot of sense for the story. You could kind of see where things were going with it, and you could probably kind of tell that this was gonna happen, but it made a lot of sense for our characters, that it was really well done. I really liked the epilogue. The epilogue was so cute. Normally, I feel kind of ambivalent towards epilogues. I know some people really hate epilogues, and I totally get why, but I'm just kind of like, I could take them or leave them. But I really liked how this one was done, and I liked the parallel that it drew to the beginning of the book, so that was really cute as well. And I just like, it was such a satisfying conclusion to this book. I just absolutely adored it, honestly. It's still not a 5-star read. I was kind of thinking it might be for the whole book, but it just doesn't quite give me the same feeling as some of my other 5-star reads, but I still immensely enjoyed this book. And I have indeed gotten part of your world, and I will be reading this book probably in my next vlog, which I'm so excited about, because I know that there are characters that show up in like the first 2 books in the series that kind of played a role in here, and like I don't honestly really mind that I kind of missed out on some of those connections, but there definitely are connections. So yes, that is my update on Just for the Summer. It was so good. I feel like I've seen so many people absolutely loving this book, and I'm just really glad that the hype didn't let me down this time. So yeah, such a win for the vlog. Anyway, as I said earlier, am going to be ending the vlog today. I have not finished Where the Dark Stands Still. I'm still on page 40. I just feel like this vlog is long enough, and after reading Just for the Summer, I want like a little break, because that was an emotional roller coaster that I just went on. So I don't really want to like force another book in this vlog, and that's fine. So I'm going to probably just finish this up on my own time, but you will hear my thoughts on it, and it may wrap up because I was really enjoying this. So I definitely want to, well, I have to continue it because it's a buddy read. So although I talked to Mackenzie, she hasn't started it yet, so that makes me feel better. But yeah, going to just put that one on hold for a little bit. And then I do also want to talk about the 2 books that I finished. I would grab In the Labyrinth of Drakes, but I already put it back in my shelves, and it's like, it's kind of hard to get to, but I did finish that book. I also really loved that one. Like, that was such a surprise, just because the other books in the series I've really enjoyed, but not quite to the extent that I enjoyed that one. If you've read this series, if you read the Lady Trent series, I would love to know down below what your favorite book in the series is. I feel like the 4th one is my favorite so far. And that's just really fun, because I was kind of not necessarily losing interest, but I was losing motivation in picking the series up. But that one has definitely renewed my interest in the series, and I will be reading the 5th one in June, hopefully. And then obviously I also finished The Witch Would Not. This one was not my favorite, but there were still a lot of elements to it that I really enjoyed. So I'm not like mad that I read it. It's just, I didn't like it quite as much as I thought I was going to. And I feel like the problem with this book is mismarketing. I feel like everybody wants to call things fantasy romance these days just because of how popular it is. But this book is not fantasy romance. Like, maybe the last 50 pages of this book maybe could be considered fantasy romance, but like, there's no romance at all in the first bit of this book. And no, I can't get into it again. So that concludes all of the books that I finished in this vlog. I finished 3 books that I, for the most part, really enjoyed. So I would love to know if you guys have read any of the books that I read in this vlog. Would love to chat about them down below. Mainly, have you guys read Just for the Summer? Because this one probably is my favorite book of the vlog, so I would love to chat about this. I know it's kind of a newer release. I don't exactly know when it came out, but I know a lot of people have been reading this recently. So if you're one of those people, please talk to me about it. I'd love to talk to you about it. So with that, I think that is everything that I have to say. I've had such a fun time filming this vlog, even though the weather was not 100% on board with my spring summery reading vlog. I still feel like I kind of did some springy, summery things, so I had a good time. So I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. If you did enjoy, I would love to chat with you guys down below. Maybe, obviously, let me know if you've read any of the books that I've read in this vlog, or if you guys are in school and you just went on summer break, let me know so we can celebrate together. Or if you are still in your finals week, I'm wishing you all the best of luck. Also, before we go, I would like to thank everybody over on my Patreon. If you're ever looking for more content from me, that is always linked down below. We do some fun stuff over there. I do extra videos, journaling content, monthly buddy reads. I'm so excited for our June buddy read because we're going to be reading Strange the Dreamer by Laini Taylor, and I'm so excited. Obviously, that is a reread for me, but it is the book that I based the theme of my Patreon on. So I've been feeling like we should read Strange the Dreamer together. This is going to be my first reread of it, and I'm so excited. So if you want to come join in that fun stuff, you could check it out if you're so inclined. But with that, I am actually going to let you go. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all in my next video.